holding their tail out a little bit. Bag is really filled up a lot since the last time I looked at her. I think that calf's coming tonight. Well, she doesn't have anything yet, but I feel like she's given me a lot of reason to believe that that calf is probably coming today or maybe this evening. So we'll go do what we got to do back home and come check on her in a little while. Today I would like to get these tubing bends finalized, figure out exactly what they need to be so that I can just start pushing forward and try to get these done. I don't know if I'll get these finished today, but I would at least like to get them figured out. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. Well, that escalated quickly. A couple videos ago, you guys saw me roll out this piece of square tubing, and I think that I've got it right for the inner side of the loading alley. So now I'm gonna bend up one more for the outer side, and then I think we'll run them down there and just lay them on the ground, see how everything looks. If I wanna bend them a little tighter, I can do that. I can't imagine wanting to bend them any straighter than they are now. To me, it just looks like they need to curve more, but you know, I kind of got to just trust my template and see. It's a lot easier to bend them more. It's not so easy to bend them back. And maybe the hardest part of all of this is getting these out of the roller. They're so awkward to carry, as you can imagine by looking at it. But I know I've done it before, so just have to assume I can do it again. This process is actually made a lot easier by putting oil on the tube, and it just kind of helps it slide through those rollers as you're bending it. You got to remember, as you're putting that curve in the tube, what it naturally wants to do is have the sidewall push out when you're making that bend. So as you can imagine, the tube is rubbing pretty hard on the sides of those rollers. Okay, now the fun part. Well, according to the template, I've already bent it too far, which I just don't believe. But nevertheless, we'll take this out of the roller, put it next to the first piece, and see how they line up. Close. Well, hopefully it's coming through clear on camera, but yeah, we are not really anywhere near as close as I would like to be. I suspected that this outer piece needed a lot more bend put into it, and that's exactly what it needs. So let's wrestle it back up onto the roller and see if we can get it right. Got these spacers at either end of the tube holding it apart 32 inches, and we're still not quite there, because when I measure in the middle, we're at about 37 inches. Now, as you might be able to assume, it is very difficult now to get this tube in and out of the roller, just because of the radius and gravity, the way it wants it to fall. It's very difficult to get it in and out. So I need to figure out a way that I can measure it while it's in the roller and know if I'm in the right spot or not. And I think I have figured out a way to do this. I'll show you and I'll try it and we'll see if it works. 32 right here. We need to bend this so that the bottom gets to 42 inches. So you might be thinking to yourself, man, this whole idea of pulling the string in there and making templates, that was really a big waste of time. None of that ended up working. I'm not exactly sure why, but this should be more accurate, I guess, or a better way to check my progress as I'm rolling it. And yeah, you know, things don't always work the way that you think they're gonna. I guess what's important is if you can figure out how to fix that and move on and not let it stop you. Yeah. Got it. Whew. Oh my goodness. I'll spare you the rolling and pick you guys back up when I think I'm getting close. Well, according to that way of measuring, I bent it too far, so that's awesome. I guess let's put it on the ground and see how bad it is, and maybe I can just kind of bend that straight a little bit by hand if I need to. I don't know. Let's put it on the ground, see how bad it is, and make a plan from there. I have to tell you, this is turning out to be a lot harder than I was expecting it to be. Let it fall. And hope it doesn't fall on you. This tube is actually pretty close. It looks good. It's not perfect. It's 1.5 inches narrow right in the middle, which is not a huge deal. And the more I'm thinking about it, I got to remember that I'm not putting the alleyway in full length like this. I'm going to cut these tubes in half. So that'll make that error even less noticeable or less of an issue. So I think we're going to be all right like this. This should be exactly the middle. Obviously, when you roll the tube like that, it stretches the outside a little bit by almost a whole inch. But I should be able to cut it right here, right on the line, and then these two pieces ought to be the same. I got these two pieces that I just cut out, laid on the ground here, and they came out perfectly. I mean, this is awesome. So now I'm just going to use the framing square down here at this end to figure out where to cut the inner radius. Let me go back. On the outer radius, I wanted to cut that perfectly in half so that each stick of tubing would give me 2 rails. But the inner radius tubing is going to be a shorter overall distance, so I'll have to mark where to cut one, and then we'll have to take our drop piece and basically kind of hold it up to this layout and cut a couple more feet off of that to get this all to work right. Somewhere around there. close one. Well, there you go. A lot of effort for this, but this is what we got. Let's load these up and take them down there and set them on the ground where they're gonna go. And then I can at least mark where the next posts are gonna go, and we can kind of get an idea of what it's gonna look like. So now we can kind of get the picture of what the footprint of the new loading alley is going to be, and I think this is going to be about right. I am debating, however, whether or not I want to add this little extension on the end beyond the curve. Originally, the purpose of having this here is because I was going to build a little concrete form around this on the bottom so that I could put a gravel ramp here, but I could probably do that just as easily on the tail end of the curve here, so I haven't quite decided what I want to do with that. The main things that I'm looking at right now is, am I still going to have room to get a tractor in here to place a bale at this feeder? And also, am I going to have enough room to bring a tractor in here and get a bale at this feeder? And of course, if you've been following this project, you know that I also want to have the ability to back the trailer up here to load. And I saw somebody mention it would be a good place to unload cattle as well, which I never even thought of, but you're right. This would be an excellent place to unload cows too. And the other thing that I'm looking at, of course, is what kind of angle and what kind of room do I have to get the truck and trailer in here to load. And this looks a lot better than it used to, I'll tell you that. But you know, like I've said before, it always seems like you got plenty of room when you're on foot. When you're actually backing in here, this might not feel as roomy as I think it's gonna be. So I think we're good here, but it is starting to get a little bit late, and I'd like to go check on that cow. So let's go do that. Well, it looks as though my hunch was right. There's number 53 with a brand new calf with her. Doesn't look like it's been out very long. I want to try to run up and get a tag on it before it gets too lively. The way that I do this, I put mother's number up here on the top and then the calf's number here real big. There, I should be able to see that. Baby's okay. You did good. Got a little heifer. Little black white face heifer. She looks a little unsteady still. I don't think she's very old. Maybe, I don't know, hour, 2 hours. She's pretty wobbly still, but I do see her kind of tossing her head a little bit. So that's a good sign. Tells me she's feeling good. Didn't see her nurse, but the fact that she's up walking around and, you know, nothing seems to be the matter, I'd imagine that she probably did. You're not very old, are you? I wanted to at least get these 2 holes dug today. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, and I just didn't know how wet and sticky the ground was going to be after that. So I figured better to get these done by the time I get the horizontal pipe and everything put up. I'm sure the ground will be dry enough to dig the other 2 holes. If I decide I want them, that is. The way that I'm gonna have to weld the curved tube in is gonna be quite a bit different than the way I normally do it, and I don't have time to get into all that today, so I think this is about as far as I can get. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.